You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
Tensions spilled over inside the White House between President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy during a meeting that was supposed to be about ending Russia's war with Ukraine. Zelenskyy then left the White House without signing a critical minerals deal. CBS News Chicago investigator Megan Hickey's here to talk more about this. And President Trump said that Zelenskyy can come back when he's ready for peace, but that did not look peaceful in any way.
Right, Marie. It was nearly a 45-minute meeting that rapidly devolved into about 10 minutes of fighting between Trump, Vance, and Zelenskyy. President Trump threatened Zelenskyy to make a deal with Russia or we're out, he said, and Vance accused the Ukrainian leader of being disrespectful.
Right now, you're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's back to you, far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy left the White House without signing the minerals deal that President Trump had demanded as a condition for future support for Ukraine. A scheduled joint press conference was also canceled. A Trump aide posted this photo of the Trump-Zelenskyy lunch menu and said Trump invited West Wing staff to come now that there were open seats. This image of Ukraine's ambassador in the Oval Office with her head in her hands has become emblematic of today's heated exchange. Earlier in the meeting, Zelenskyy called Russian President Vladimir Putin a terrorist and that there should be no compromises with a killer. Zelenskyy said Ukraine wants the war to end, but must have security assurances along with any sort of ceasefire agreement.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me. That wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person.
As we know, this week, the U.S. joined Russia to vote against a UN General Assembly resolution condemning Russia's war against Ukraine. This month, President Trump also falsely suggested that Ukraine started the war.
What actually surprised me was Zelenskyy's approach.
University of Chicago political science professor Paul Post says that lead-up may have contributed to the blow-up. He says Zelenskyy is usually more savvy when it comes to interacting with Trump, noting that he was the first world leader to congratulate Trump when he won the last election.
So I'm not real sure exactly why he didn't seem to want to play that game today. He seemed to be in a position where he very much wanted to be more combative and argumentative, wanted to stand up more to Vance.
And Zelenskyy tweeted after the meeting a thank you to the American people, to President Trump and Congress. He said Ukraine just needs lasting peace, and we are working exactly for that. So we will stay tuned on what happens next here.
Right. I feel like it could go either way, so we'll be paying attention. Thank you, Megan.